2, 3. So there's a link between the 1 and the 3 through the 2. But the manifestation in a child, it's not understood the distinction between the manifestation of self and self.
Yeah.
A child will not say, please can I have another piece of apple? A child will just say, apple, or more. Or the child will just reach out to grab. Parent slaps the hand and says, say please. Huh? Apple. I want an apple. I don't understand what you're talking about. Just give me an apple. Can't you see apple? Say please. Please. Apple. You understand what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Parent says, don't behave like that. You don't yet know that there's another way to behave that still can carry you in it. Apple. Say please. Please! Now that's still me right there. Not an oppression, please. Okay, apple. I've seen kids, they try everything to not just have it put on them. But if you jump into it, then you're in it. It comes from you. You get that? Please. Please, please, please. Now, apple. You understand that you take ownership of it, you play with it, you stretch it to fit you, then you're still in there, even if your behavior is now different from how you were behaving before. But that new behavior is not you.
Yeah.
But you're not articulate in that, we're not trained in it, we don't have the... there's many factors here. The whole negotiation between your environment and you to be able to be creative and say, okay, how can I change my behavior and still feel it's me? That thought is not even in your head, right? You're just trying to figure out, I'm just being me. It's not the way I'm being me is not acceptable, but the way I'm being me is me. You don't know the distinction that you can still be you in a different way. Because you don't know that, then for you, if I can't do it in that way, that means I can't even be me. So in the child, there's a direct correspondence between my manifestation and my existence. If my manifestation is wrong, my existence is wrong. My crime is not that I shouted apple and I didn't say please. My crime is that I exist, because when I shouted apple, I was saying I exist. And I have been told that is wrong and bad. And I don't know the distinction. The two, remember the two can be a gap, or the two is a relationship. For the child, it's a relationship. For the young child, there's not a gap between the behavior and the existence. The two is a bond between those two things. Gradually, through all kinds of circumstances, which I will not make either right or wrong, through all kinds of circumstances, that relationship becomes actually a separation. There's my existence, there's what the world wants of me, that I have to do because I need to survive, and I need not to get hit too often, and I need whatever I believe I need or feel I need, and therefore I shape change while inwardly actually having an inner shape, my own like 1, 2, 3, so the 2 produces like a double 3 in a way, yeah? There's like 1, 2, 3 makes 6, yeah? And somebody spoke about that yesterday. And 6 is 2 times 3. Yeah? So 1 and 2 make a 3. I hope this is not too abstract for you. 3 is form, okay? 3 is my behavior, my manifestation. But I may be able to produce this inner manifestation, whatever it is, yeah? I hate my mom. Yes, mommy! You know? On the outside I'm saying that, on the inside I'm saying whatever. Yeah? There's 2 3s. Inner, internal, external. You walk out, yeah, you get into the bathroom or into the bedroom or into your private space, and then, okay, yes, here we go, good morning, whatever, yeah? You put on the, while inside there's something else happening. Come on, we still do it as adults, yeah? It still happens.
Interesting thinking how that relationship between the 1 and the 9, because if the parent is a real tyrant, then there's the one of the child has nowhere to move. Like I had a friend whose mum was like that. It was, from the first moment, like, you didn't say good morning when you walked in. There was every little manifestation of how he was going to act was controlled.
Yeah. Yes, but it depends, Some people, for reasons of karma or whatever, past lives, it's not only your environment, because in the same environment, one soul will push and push and push. The impulse of the one is so strong. Parents saying, say please, no! Say please, no! If you don't say please, you can't have no apple. He'll push the whole apples off the table. He gets a slap. He'll throw the cup off the table. He'll get pushed in his room. He'll break everything in his room. This impulse can be that strong. Even in the front of violence, it will still stand up. It will not knock me down. Yeah? Sometimes the impulse is that intense. Other extreme, smallest little pressure from the outside, run and hide, don't come out. My existence is already crying or seems to give problem and pain to everybody, so exist as minimum as you can. And you might stay like that for the entire life, or maybe one day somehow it'll either force its way out through some crazy madness later in life, or you cultivate, you train, and you gradually learn to stand up and be, put the influence of you into your environment. It takes training to do that. For an individual who's spent all the life more in the passive position, two different souls with two very, totally opposite responses in the same environment. It's nothing to do with the environment. Environment has its impact. We're not excusing that. We're not saying, oh dear, I'm sorry it was like that and it's left its mark and you have to live with that and carry that with grace and whatever. That's, is what it is. But we're not putting too much weight only on the environment. You have to remember why this soul came into this story and dealt with it in that way. I have 3 brothers, I have 3 sisters, plus myself, and each of us has a totally different way we lived through in the same house with the same parents. What's that about? You can't blame the parents. Yeah? Whatever was there were stories and so on, but you can't put too much weight when you see the difference. You can't give that much weight just to the history and so little weight to the soul. Actually, that proportion should be reversed. It's not ignoring the history, but the story is this much. And the soul and its impulse and what it brought with it and how and why it chose to react in that way, different from brother or sister. Yeah, that has to be given a lot more weight. And the hard thing is to get that individual to accept that and take ownership of that and realize it's you, we've heard it right, in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, it's you, and what are you going to do about it? You can, shall you? Yeah? You can change your story, you can change your experience, you can move the situation. Will you? And what will you do? No. Yeah? You can't come in at the beginning with that tyranny on somebody who's busy with their traumas and over-identified with their stories. But that's where you want the conversation to go. Otherwise, where are we? Back to the non-forgiveness, back to blaming. So long as you're in blaming, you are in an identity of the victim. You are not the spirit who chose your incarnation and is working out your karma. Who are you? Like they say in the recovery movement, right, from drugs and so on, yeah? I'm always the recovering addict. Yeah? It helps. It gets you out of being the addict. I'm a recovering addict. That's temporary dharma, right? Temporary fix. It's not deep. It's not long-lasting. It doesn't touch on that level of soul. I am a spirit having a human experience. And I played the game of being the addict. And I played the game of being the recovering addict. And I played the game of being the victim. And I played the game of going through therapy. I played many, many games. But I was always the spirit having a human experience. Now, can you give that weight? Gravity, anchor, remember one? One is soul. We talk about 10 spiritual bodies. Do you know a little bit about that? A little bit, you heard, yeah? One is the soul, and it's focus, one, focus. So the entire communication must gravitate to that point. Finally, yeah? I am. It comes down to that.
You took this example of the child. When we ask something, we say no, and you say it's an impulse stronger than the brother in the same family. But we can think that it's more from ego than from impulse of the soul. How you make the difference?
Okay, that is a good question. That difference, I think you would have to examine some other factors. In a young child, in most cases, the karmic, which would be the ego identity, is still not fully, it's not formed in terms of it. Still evaluating, how am I going to deal with this environment? What face I'm going to show here? What game am I going to play? What role am I going to take? That's still maturing, and normally we say it takes 7 years for that to be set in place.
Not before 7.
Hold on a second, just first
Okay.
it takes 7 years when you're outside of your mother's aura, and you now have your own aura. A child at 5 years old may still be in danger crossing the street. A child at 7 somehow has a space, wants to maintain and defend this space, and is more likely therefore to look out for danger. A child at 5 is assuming mother's watching over me and just goes running out on the street. Yeah? So a young child, hold hand, yeah? And you teach it little by little. Look left, look right, pay attention. And usually approximately 7, when the fontanelle is closing and the seal is there, there's the little bubble, micro bubble of the child's aura is somehow in place. Normally speaking, should be like that. Corresponding to that, that's from the base up, okay? From the base up, physical body, and the magnetic field that goes with the physical body. Spirit coming in, okay? So that's also coming to meet the scenario. So the full karmic identity, whatever ego identity you had from previous life, is normally also taking this 7 years to fully reveal itself. It doesn't come crashing in straight away. There will be exceptions, and we're making the general rule or law of it, but of course some people are faster, like a premature birth or a late birth. Same spirit can come in very quickly, very heavy, with all its story. Other times it's like even a 2-year-old child still sleeps in the afternoon, still a lot more time restful, resting. By the time you have a 3-year-old, they don't ever want to go to sleep. The spirits, I'm in my world. And this is the signs of the karmic ego coming in stronger and stronger. So as a very young child, just learning the language of articulation and deciding whether to argue its environment or to negotiate with its environment, it's still quite strongly soul impulse. Colored, yes, with the ego, more and more so as the years go past, but I think you can allow that the first impulse is from spirit. And then you have to observe the child develop and see how much the characterization takes over.
And the ego is a combination with the ego from samskara who comes from previous life, but also built in this environment is
built by how much it absorbs, imitates its environment, or reacts to its environment. Normally, there's these two things are happening. Some bits I take on, I copy, and other bits I'm going to put opposition. I'm not only going to reject. In order to reject, I must create the opposite inside of me. Yeah. So yes, that's happening, but that cannot happen strongly if the environment is so imposing, or even if it's not imposing, but I allow the environment to fully dictate to me my ego identity, then that means the soul has not really brought in very much of its own character. Yep. So the range is quite big range. Yeah.
I wanted to come back to the karmic baby and the star, the universal child, the
Yep.
interwind.
Yep.
How would it like manifest, or what is it then? Like they come together, it's like the corrupt sincerity, or what is it?
Corrupt the sincerity, did you say?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. If anything which is reactive and manipulative, and you especially using emotional manipulation, trying to get you to feel sorry for me, and manipulating my social environment, is coming from karmic baby. I would like water. I ask for water. But I say, every day you do that, and you don't give me these people, who do you think you are? Why don't you care about me? It's not fair. And I start to do a whole drama around it. Somebody forgot to bring me water this morning, and I make a story out of it, and it's out of proportion to the, never mind, you didn't bring me water today, but of course, it's not easy for me to get up and get water while I'm teaching, so please try to remember tomorrow. I'm thinking about tomorrow. Yeah? Could you tomorrow remember bringing the water? Or I say, and last week, and I remember, and this happens all the time to me, and it's not fair, and where is this coming from? It's history. History is karmic baby. Child of the universe lives now, lives today, lives here, and lives for tomorrow, lives for what can yet be, the possible human opportunity. It's always looking at where it's going. It's not busy with the history. Karmic baby has all the record of the history. Doesn't want to forget, keeps bringing it back, keeps pointing the finger at the other or at self. Any guilt, shame, blame, anything, whether it's towards you or to the other, all of this is reactive. All this is patterns and programs. All this is karmic baby. There's a problem about the water. Somebody's not bringing me water every day, and we agreed that this was going to happen. Can we talk about this? What do we need to change in order to make this happen? Shall I ask somebody else? I'm looking forward to make a better arrangement. Anything else beyond that is a drama. Why would the child of the universe make a drama? There's no gain for the child of the universe, for the spirit. Yeah? There's no gain to make any drama about anything. Is there? Can you tell me if there's some gain for the spirit? I don't see it. Right? So anything other than stay practical, to the point, clarity, precision, future orientation, simple. Anything else? Wait a minute. What's going on here? Is there something? Why are you making this story out of it? You understand? You've corrupted the situation, yeah? Is it clear? Do you want to ask something more?
It's clear.
It's clear.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The karmic baby, is it the hidden self, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
It's possible the ego take the impulse of the soul and se aproveche.
Of course. The power is coming through the one and the two. The basic existence of you in the world of polarity is a powerful force. Any ego game, any drama, cannot have any power by itself. It's kidnapped your spirit. That's where it becomes intertwining, yeah? It's riding on your back. You're going along and you're wondering why life is a big, hard work job, because you're carrying on your back another entity. And it's like a parasite. It's taking all your power and it's speaking. Not you in the middle down. You're like, ugh. And then this other thing comes like, and it takes over, and it's using all your power, all your vitality.
This is a
It
fire.
doesn't have power by itself, it has no power. It would be dead. Take the parasite out, it has no host, nowhere to live, it's dead. It dries up. It's living on your blood.
This is a fire who takes the air.
The
Fire
like
who
that,
takes the
like
air.
that, exactly. Fire consumes the oxygen, oxygen is consciousness.